Developing youth players is probably the best part of career mode. Without it, you might as well just be playing on kickoff. However, sometimes it might seem like these good young players are just refusing to improve. Today we'll be looking at some of the best ways to guarantee that Wonderkids will end up like Messi and not Joao Felix, and everything that I talk about today I'll try and back it with experiments that I've run on the game over the past few weeks or years. So before we start, if you just want this number to grow up as fast as possible, of course there are some short-term quick fixes that can just grow a player's overall basically instantly. Changing their position is the one that I think of straight away, but today we're looking for long-term ways to make your players meet their potential instead. So let's start with the very basics of player development. And the most important part of development, which is basically getting this bar to fill up as fast as possible, is something that you probably set up on day one, which is of course coaches. So what is a coaching department? How can we actually pick the right staff? Well, EA has actually split the coaching system up into 4 areas. Every coach is assigned to attack, midfield, defense or goalkeeping, and as you'd expect, players are linked to the relevant department based on their main position, including both the senior and youth players. I say main position because that's actually going to be quite important later in this video. That means that a 5-star goalkeeping coach will train every single goalkeeper at your club, even the ones who are just 15 years old. A 5-star defensive coach will be able to coach every centre-back, left-back and right-back, even if you're playing them as a right midfielder or even an attacking midfielder. The last thing I think I want to say about this is that loaned players don't belong to any department, instead they'll just randomly improve like they did on old FIFA games. But if you have enough coaches, some really weird stuff can actually happen. For example, let's fill our coaching team with the best possible defensive coaches. So, now we have 19 out of the 20 stars filled, which is amazing even though we are a massive club in Ajax. If we go over into the squad hub, look at a defender, you can see this will just about halve the amount of time it will take this player to grow by 1 overall. That is fantastic. But this also applies if you want to train them to central defense midfielder, despite that counting as a midfielder position for coaches. Things get even weirder when you look deeper into position training. Of course, we have absolutely amazing defensive coaches in this save. If we scroll down here and look at Itakura, someone who is very much a centre back, is 28 years old and would never ever consider changing to become an attacker, he can learn to be a good striker in just 92 weeks. That is all down to form, coaches and match XP, and kind of shows how quickly you can ramp up and snowball when it comes to the player development on FC26. 92 weeks is really not a long time, so if you're focusing all your coaches on a certain position, you can do some really crazy stuff. For example, you could easily build a team of just defenders. Players like Rafael Guerreiro count as an 80 rated left back, but is really an 85 rated attacking midfielder, and then you can just buy coaches for that one area. Or you could find players who have unique traits, like the 6'9" centre back Isaac Toure, and you could easily train him into the world's best target man in just over 1 year. So this is one way to develop a player. Of course, you can give them as many new positions and as new roles as you want. However, if you want to make them grow faster, I think it's clear that coaching is also the best way by far to do that too. If you have the right amount of coaches with the right amount of stars, then you can basically double the speed that your players will grow every year. However, we did also talk about form and match XP just a few minutes ago, so let's talk about how we can get those boosts too. Let's start with match XP, and there's actually 2 different ways to get this that basically work in the same way. For academy players, the only way to get this boost is by playing games of Rush in the tournament feature. I have spoken about how pointless this feature is on FC25 in the past, and nothing really has changed this year. The fact that this is so important to boost growth makes me think that academy games should probably be 11v11, because the chances are we have more than 5 players that we want to improve at a time, if you get what I mean. Anyway, it turns out all you really need is 2 back-to-back 10 out of 10 performances to get the biggest boost this year. The win doesn't matter at all. Because there's 3 games in the tournament and you only have 5 players on the pitch, you can actually get 7 or 8 players up to the highest possible match XP. If you do this, the players will grow about 20-30% faster than if they haven't played in this tournament at all. The fact that the tournament takes about 15 minutes to complete though, and the way that Rush is pretty boring in career mode, makes me think that you should probably just turn youth development speed to high, because with that, you get a similar boost and you don't actually have to play the tournament. For senior matches, match XP is also gained in the same way. More minutes give more XP, while better performances improve form, so the 2 kind of are actually linked. If you play lots of games with someone and they play well, they'll improve, but still less than hiring the best coaches. There are 5 levels to form. There's excellent, good, okay, poor and bad, and it is hard to really figure out how these bands work. Anything above a 7 out of 10 makes a player have excellent form, and anything under 6 out of 10 is considered bad, which is the worst possible. Just like match XP, the difference between okay and excellent is only around 20% faster growth, while okay and bad is about 20% slower. So now we can start to put things together. A player with the best coaches will grow about 50% faster than no coaches. If they play most minutes and have an average match rating of over 7, they'll get 2 more boosts of around 20 to 25%. So I think it's safe to say that a young player with all of those conditions will grow about twice as fast as someone with no coaches who isn't playing a single minute. As you'd expect, the player's age also makes a little bit of a difference, but not as big as you might imagine. I think I remember reading back on FC24 it was about 10% faster if they were 18 compared to 28. But what about loans? They're used all the time in real life to make players better. They should give match XP and form, right? Well, you might have noticed that's not really how it works in FIFA. Unless the player is loaned out to the same league, or one that you've set up to have deeper simulations enabled, they won't actually get any game time, and instead they'll get a randomized boost throughout their loan. If you want to know a little bit more about how broken loans can be, I did make a full video about them a few days ago, talking about the loan glitch and the way that you can make everyone 99 potential. But of course today we're more interested in overall than potential. You might have seen some random players getting boosted from the 60s to the high 70s over the course of a single loan. Well, that is also kind of random. There's no way to strategically make sure a player develops super quickly while out on a loan. Instead, you just kind of have to hope for the best. As I talked about in my other video about loans, there's not just benefits for loaning someone out. Every single time that a player changes clubs, so when you loan them out and then also when they get recalled, their potential has the chance to change. Now on FC26, I believe this is only between 0 and 3 either way, but that could actually see one of your Wonderkids go down by 6 potential from you loaning them out. So you really do have to decide if loaning them out is the wisest choice for that player. There are ways to see and make sure that your player doesn't lose potential, and like I said, I talked about that a lot in the loan glitch video. So yeah, player development is very strange in FC26. Coaches are really all that matters. I wouldn't bother with youth tournaments, and as long as you're playing the players that you want to play with and you want to develop, they will just develop pretty rapidly this year. I've seen players being able to level up once every 10 weeks, which is about 5 times a year, which is 5 overall a season, which is actually quite impressive compared to older games. But yeah, thanks for watching, and let me know if you've got any tips to develop players faster in the comments below. Sorry if I sounded weird in this video, I've had a bit of an illness for a few days, but hopefully yeah, I can get back to making some good content. So subscribe if you want to see that, and like this video if you really enjoyed it. But thanks for watching, I'll see you soon, cheers, and goodbye.